All right, here we go for round 3 of factoring quadratic trinomials. So now we have a different case, and you look at what's written down here, and maybe I'll highlight it in a different color here, where you got x squared plus bx minus c, or x squared minus bx minus c. So we have cases now where our n term is negative, all right, in both of these. That's what's the same, right, is they're negative. And then depending upon how the factors are, you get a positive thing or a negative term right there, term. All right, so I want to show you an example of what would cause that. So we're going to do it backwards as if we already factored it. Supposing I have x minus 3 and x plus 4, all right? So when I expand this, I would get x squared, I would get negative 3x, and then I would get positive 4x, and then I would get negative 3 times 4 gives me negative 12. All right, so I would add my factors together and get x squared plus x minus 12. Now, if I move the negative sign, I'm on the other side here, from the 3 over to the 4, I make the 3 positive, it gives me a slightly but still different answer. Plus 3x minus 4x this time, then minus 12. So my first term and my last term are the same, but then this gives me minus x, right? So when we do these problems, we're going to have to sit and be able to think, well, what's the difference between adding negative 3 and positive 4 as opposed to adding positive 3 and negative 4, and what does that do? So it's a lot of integers and just kind of keeping things straight like that. But it's still basically the same process of what we were doing. And remember, this is with having a leading coefficient of 1. All right, so let's take a look at this one. So what I want to do is I know that my factors have to equal negative 48. And I know that they have to add up to positive 13. Okay? So let's think about what those factors could be. Well, 48 itself. So let's just do the factors of 48. So we got 1 and 48, we got 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, 5 doesn't work, 6 and 8, and then it's 8 and 6, and then it reverses. So these are all the factors of 48. So there's 2 possibilities we could have. I'm going to move this over here, right? There's 2 possibilities you could have. You could have negative 1 and 48, and then you could have 1 and negative 48. But either way, that would add to give you 47. And this would add to give you negative 47, and that's not anywhere near 13. So that's not going to work. And then if you look at 2 and 24 and go through the same process, right? Negative 2 and positive 24 is going to give you 22. And then I'll give you guys a hint. The other option would just give you the negative version of this, because you'll get 2 and negative 24, which is negative 22, which isn't near 13. So then let's do 3 and 16. If we have negative 3 and 16, and then the other option is positive 3 and negative 16. Well, negative 3 plus positive 16 gives me 13, which is what we're after. And then let's just check this last one. Well, negative 16 and 3, just like all the other ones, is going to be the opposite of that. So that's going to give me negative 13, which I don't want. So the factors we want to use are negative 3 and 16. So we're going to set up our 2 binomials. Got our y's there. And then because we are getting a negative here, one of these is going to be negative and one's going to be positive. You can put this in whatever order you want. And then the 3 is my negative, so that one would go over here. And then the 16 is my positive. And then, like always, check your work. So let's go y times y. It's y squared. Outside terms, plus 16y. Inside terms, negative 3y. And then last terms, negative 48. So the y squared of negative 48 look good, and then 16y and minus 3y give me plus 13y. And we're back where we started, which is what we wanted. So again, not a really complicated process at this point, but just a matter of being able to, make that connection. All right, let's try this one. All right, so our factor is negative 24, all right? So we've got negative 24, and we're going to break that up into the two different sets of factors it could be. Well, it could be, oops, that was really, really not cool at all. All right. So we got negative 24. So that's going to give us negative 1, positive 24, or 1 and negative 24. Well, neither one of those, when you add them up, is going to give you anything close to negative 2. That's going to give you 23, and this gives you negative 23. So you don't want that. All right, 2 and 12 is going to be the same thing because you have negative 2 and 12. That adds to give you 10. And then 2 and negative 12 adds to give you negative 10. All right, next set would be 3 and 8. All right, so let's do 3 and negative 8 gives you negative 5. Negative 3 and 8 gives you 5. And then we have 4 and 6. All right, let's make the 4 negative. So negative 4 and 6 gives you positive 2. So we're really close. And then 4 and negative 6 gives you negative 2 when you add them. So that's what we want. That's the one we want. We want 4 and negative 6. So I have my r's, set up my binomials, and then I'm going to have plus 4. I'm putting my positive 1 in there, and then minus 6. And then let's check our work. We get r squared, outside terms, negative 6r, inside terms, 4r, positive, and then your last terms. Positive 4 times negative 6 gives you negative 24. And then when you add this all together, you get r squared minus 2r minus 24, which is our starting point. And that's what we want. So good luck with these.